Hello and thanks for watching. My name is Chris Tilton with the Tilton Insurance Agency, located here in beautiful Chico, California. Today's topic, auto insurance. How much is it going to cost you? And what kind of coverage do you need to get? Now these are some questions you should ask at any time you're going to sign up or think about changing your coverage. So let's talk about the different types of coverage you can get first. Now, the common terms are liability only and full coverage, but we're going to steer away from those and I'm going to give it to you straight. The term liability, what does that mean? It means pay somebody else. So if I have liability coverage, that means I have coverage to pay somebody else for the damage that I caused them. But what is the liability coverage? Well, I'll tell you. There's bodily injury and there's property damage. Now the state minimums in California are what they call 15, 30, and 5. So what those numbers mean is you have $15,000 for any one person in a car accident that you're at fault in. Now the 30 stands for $30,000. And what that is the total amount that this policy will pay for any one accident. Now the 5, that's property damage. Okay, so 15 and 30 is representing bodily injury. You know, if I rear end you and you got a sore neck and you got to go see a chiropractor, my bodily injury coverage is going to pay for that. The property damage is the damage that I caused to your vehicle, or if I run over something like a fire hydrant, that's the property damage side of that. So you can see 15, 30, and 5, although it will cost you less money now, if you rear end a BMW, that's going to cost you 10 grand. And it's just not going to cover you. If you put somebody in the hospital and they stay overnight, that 15,000 is going quickly. So those are some things to be aware of. Now let's move on. The next kind of coverage we offer is uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. And what that pretty much says is if somebody crashes into you or you're in an accident and it's someone else's fault, what if they don't have insurance? What are you going to do? Well, that's why you have uninsured motorist coverage. And what that does is it ensures that regardless of the other person's failure to keep insurance, you're going to be protected. There's a couple different types of uninsured and underinsured coverage. There's bodily injury and property damage, or collision and property damage. The bodily injury says, hey, this person crashes into you, causes a lot of damage to your body, and they don't have the coverage or the assets to pay for it. So your uninsured motorist bodily injury coverage is going to kick in after their coverage runs out. And the same applies for the property damage side. Okay, so let's move on now. Now we have comprehensive and collision, two more popular types of coverage. But what are they? What's the difference? I'll tell you. Collision covers your vehicle if it's involved in some kind of accident. Somebody hits you, or even if you hit somebody else, or whatever it is that you crash into while you're driving your vehicle, that's what the collision is going to cover you for. Comprehensive is a little bit different. Comprehensive is, say, you're parked in your driveway and a tree falls down and smashes up your car a little bit, or you have some hail and it puts a couple dents in your hood. That's what comprehensive coverage is for. And those are the main coverages. Now let's talk about your rate. Let's talk about how much is your insurance going to cost and why is it going to cost that much. There's several things that determine the rate that you're going to pay. And one of the most important things is your driving record. Have you been a good driver? Have you been a safe driver? Those are two discounts offered by Farmers, the good driver discount and the safe driver discount. So have you gotten any speeding tickets? If you haven't, then you can, or any other kind of infractions as well, then you may qualify for a good driver discount. If you haven't had any accidents, then you may qualify for a safe driver discount. But your driving record is a pinnacle part that determines your rate. What's the next part? Your vehicle and the coverage that you have. If I have a brand new Lexus, and of course, I have the comprehensive and collision on there, it's going to be more money than if I have like a 1990 Honda Civic, and I just want to be protected with liability, and I don't necessarily need the comprehensive and collision because my vehicle is not really worth that much money. And the third thing that's going to determine your rate is how many miles do you drive. Because the less miles you drive every year, the less likely you are to have an accident. And there is one fourth factor, and that's the company that you go with. And every company has a rate that they're allowed to charge per person, per vehicle, that they can charge you. But they don't get to just come out on a whim and make that up. They have to submit that rate to the state of California, who oversees all the admitted companies in the state. So to summarize this, to better understand it, the types of coverage are liability coverage, you have uninsured motorists, and comprehensive and collision. There's other smaller coverages too, like towing, roadside service, rental car reimbursement, and other stuff, but you can ask those at a later time. It's important just to understand the liability limits and whether or not you need comprehensive and collision. Anytime you want to establish your liability limits, you got to look at a couple things. What can you afford? And I'm not just talking about monthly, I'm talking about what can you afford if your insurance coverage isn't enough. Can you afford to pay out of pocket? Or can you not? When my clients come in, I make sure to analyze them as an individual or as a family, if they have a family, and assess what it is that they need from me and from the company that I work for. A 20-year-old college student that's driving grandma's minivan at school, maybe they're at the $50,000 to $100,000 range in coverage to be safe. If you have a larger family that's has more income and more to lose, they should step it up. I say minimum $100,000 to $300,000 for the liability coverage. And you may say that's a lot, that's excessive, but nobody wakes up in the morning and says, hey, today is the day that I crash into somebody and cause a lot of damage. Accidents happen all the time. So it's important, and it's important to understand the reason for insurance. The reason for insurance isn't to save you money. Insurance is there to protect you. If you make a mistake, or if somebody else makes a mistake and causes damage to you. And again, just to sum up your rate and what's going to cost you: driving record, value of your vehicle, and the amount of miles you drive every year. So keep that in mind, and feel free to leave any questions you have in the comment section. I do check them, and I will respond to you quickly. Thank you.